Paul Scott, news presenter at TRT World in Istanbul in Turkey, but I'm actually a Bournemouth fan, and I'm about to answer some of Trilby's James Daly's questions for FYP TV. I would argue actually that we're not doing as well in recent weeks as we have been. I think we started off very, very badly. The first couple of weeks of the season we looked very, very shaky. Picked up form, as we tend to do in the autumn. But then the last few weeks, we have been shipping goals left, right and centre. I think there was a statistic just before the cup final defeat to Millwall, when we conceded 3. We conceded 3 goals or more in 7 of our last 9 matches, which is not sustainable. It's not good form. Okay, we're quite capable of scoring at the other end. It reminds me of Kevin Keegan's Newcastle side in the 90s. If we concede 3, we'll try and score 4, which is good, it's entertaining, but it's not sustainable. And a few weeks ago we were pushing for a top 10 place. We were looking pretty good, but those goals that we started shipping have started to take their toll, and I think we're probably looking backwards over our shoulder more than we thought we would be at this stage, if that makes sense. So as an outsider, it probably looks like we're doing okay, and I think we're sort of 13th or something, sort of 12th. I'm not exactly sure where we are right now after FA Cup weekend. But I think we're beginning to just look over our shoulders rather than look forward. So Tuesday night against your lot is a big, big match. I don't think Bournemouth will go down because I think that they've got enough about them. I think that Eddie Howe is quite good at identifying problems. We've seen it over the last few years, and particularly the last 2 years in the Premier League. There have been blips where there have been certain issues, players misfiring up front, or the defence leaking goals left, right and centre. And he's usually pretty astute and able to, identify problems and prevent them. So I don't think we'll go down. I'm probably not going to make myself very popular on this forum, but I think Palace could go down. I'm not convinced they will. I know that Big Sam perhaps hasn't had the impact that many fans would have hoped. There's a Crystal Palace fan out here who I know quite well, who's almost longing for Alan Pardew to come back. I think there's 3 worse teams, and I think most of the teams in the bottom 5 would probably like to be in Palace's position. I think Swansea are going to do okay. I'm not sure that they're going to go down anymore. I thought they were certainties for relegation, but I think they're showing some good form. I think Palace will be okay. I think Bournemouth have, for several years, been vulnerable, shall we say, to set pieces. Big, bruising centre forwards, knocking our defenders out of the way like skittles, and heading the ball past Boric. I've seen that quite a few times. We haven't got a particularly strong physical presence in central midfield as well. We've got Harry Arter, who's diminutive, who's got quick feet. Jack Wilshere's not a big, strong physical presence as well. So sometimes it's quite easy for Bournemouth to be overrun in midfield as well. The thing about Bournemouth this season is very few players have been in form for a long period of time. They've been extremely inconsistent. There have been flashes from Junior Stanislas, for example, where he's looked like an absolute world beater. I think against Hull, he got 2 assists and 2 goals in one match. He's got pace, he's got trickery, he can play just in behind, out wide. On his day, he is exceptional, but sometimes he can be a bit hit and miss. Jack Wilshere is obviously the man pulling the strings in centre midfield for Bournemouth as well, but he doesn't get that many goals. He hasn't scored for us yet, and I don't think he's got too many assists either. So the work that Jack Wilshere does goes unrecognised. He's kind of, he's there pulling the strings. He's the engine in midfield without really getting much of the headlines or the glory. Our in-form player would have been Nathan Ake, but Chelsea have recalled him, and I think that's been a big blow for Eddie Howe and for Bournemouth in recent weeks. Callum Wilson hasn't really returned as the player that we hoped he would. He was out for most of last season with a cruciate knee injury. Just hasn't quite shown the form that Bournemouth fans would have been hoping for from him. Josh King, likewise, on his day, he can look absolutely fantastic, pacey, strong, gets in behind, fluffs his lines 9 times out of 10. Benik Afobe as well. We're very, very inconsistent. On their day, any of our players can look like world beaters, but they can also look quite average as well. So, in terms of who's on form at the moment, I'm not sure that there's anyone who's putting a standout performance in recent weeks. I'm probably going to be really unpopular with Palace fans, but not fussed. Bournemouth are due a big performance. They're due a big win. Or at least a big performance, let me correct that. At home as well, under the floodlights. I'd like to think this is the type of game that Bournemouth should be winning. If they lose, then what I was saying earlier about looking over their shoulder becomes very, very realistic. So a chance for Bournemouth to put daylight between themselves and the relegation scrap. I think it will be a Bournemouth victory. We're due some performance from the defence, a clean sheet we're due on. Let's say 2-0 Bournemouth.